nice young man got off the beach today. I know that he was eligible for the Bronze Star and Merit Badge, Victory in Europe. Here it is. They all came just a couple of weeks ago. So, Paul, thank you for your consideration.
Good afternoon, everyone, and it's great to be here, and I'm so honored and I'm so blessed. This is a very special time for all of us, and hopefully we can turn the music off. Great. I always tell my students at Auburn just to turn your phones off. You don't need that. You don't have music in the background. We'll work on that. Sure. Dr. Samulski's back there.
Right over here.
Working, something like that.
Dr. Samulski, get away from me.
Okay.
Ellen, right behind you. Turn it off.
There we go. Great. Good. All right. Thank you. So thank you so much, Tom, and it's such an honor to be here with the Tantillo-Samulski family, a family that means so very much to me. And I just want to give a little background on this. I have devoted my professional and my personal life to really telling the story of our veterans, our World War II veterans especially, the greatest generation. And I've had the honor for the past 15 or so years to really get to know an individual who I grew up with, who I always admired, and who I loved, and who always welcomed me into his home, Mr. Tantillo. And I know we can all tell stories like this, but let me just bring you back into history today. Those of you who are at Mass today know that Mr. and Mrs. Tantillo met at the USO. Now, where was the USO from here visually? And if we look right over here, it was right here. A good friend of mine, John Provan, who's a historian, has written about the USO. And John Provan was able to let me know, along with Tommy, about the USO. And it was one of the several USOs in town. It was the Catholic USO. Yeah. And so in 1943, when Mr. and Mrs. Tantillo met here at the USO, and it was a love that the Lord had really meant to me. Mr. Tantillo was a soldier in the famed Ivy Division, the 4th Infantry Division. Mr. Tantillo was a member of the 1st Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment. Okay, and 2 years ago, I was driving. It was 2 years ago this weekend, Mr. Tantillo. I was driving up to Johns Creek, Georgia, to visit you on Memorial Day weekend. I wanted to pay my respects to a veteran. And I had asked Mr. Tantillo, I said, what unit were you with? And I remember it was Alpha Company, 22nd Infantry, Company A, Alpha Company, Company A, 22nd Infantry, 4th Infantry Division. And I wrote that down because I figured we were going to find out what was going on. And the long and short of it is that with the help of the 122nd, the 1st Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment, we were able to find Mr. Tantillo's history. It was a history that was largely forgotten right here. But the long and the short of it is, ladies and gentlemen, in 2 weeks, in less than 2 weeks, on the 6th of June, 1944, Mr. Tantillo was on the first wave of those brave Americans who saved not only a continent, but saved the world. It was there. And Mr. Tantillo was one of many millions of Americans who came to this country and made this country his own and brought so much honor to this country. And for that, we are extremely grateful. And for that, every day, I say a prayer for that. I wanted to share a couple of things here. The battalion commander of Mr. Tantillo's battalion as they hit the beach was Colonel Brumby. Colonel Brumby was a class of 39 West Point graduate, and after the war had retired and became the librarian at the University of Georgia Library. Isn't that something? They were only separated. Colonel Brumby, on that fateful day of 6 November 1944, nearly lost his right leg, and so he was immediately medevaced. Colonel Hervey Triboulet, your regimental commander?
Yeah.
You remember Colonel Triboulet?
I remember Triboulet, yes, sir.
And he was a
good colonel.
yes, he was.
He was a good colonel.
Yes.
Yeah, they walked together at the beach, and I was shot in shoulder from the tree, and it almost got me. And I took it down. I was right up the beach to the big lake, and they said to me, "Tony, sit down, go and get her." I didn't think he got you, and I did make it.
That's right.
It says, "Ready to get up now."
Right.
No.
Right. So the 122nd, that battalion, they were placed with innumerable odds because their job was to take the German batteries, the artillery batteries in Crisbeck, C-R-I-S-B-E-Q, if you ever look at this. And so it was not only about getting off the beach, but to take those batteries right there. It was obviously a horrendous day, but the days that followed were just as brutal as war is. There's nothing glorious, there's nothing glamorous about that. But the 122 had really the toughest job of the division. The division had trained here. They went out to Fort Benning. They went to Florida. They shipped off. They went to England, and they were the spearhead of the invasion. So what had happened is that as the division was landing, Colonel Triboulet, who was beloved by his soldiers, and Mr. Tantillo knew exactly. I said, "Who was your regimental commander?" Hervey Triboulet. Hervey Triboulet was beloved by his soldiers, but he was given really an impossible task. Within 2 weeks, Colonel Triboulet was injured. Mr. Tantillo's company commander, on the day that Mr. Tantillo and his company, his soldiers, were awarded the Bronze Star, his company commander was fatally injured in that, and his company commander is also a son of Georgia who grew up in South Georgia, in Thomaston, Georgia, who won the Silver Star. So there's all of this connection here with Georgia. So earlier this year, I contacted the 4th Infantry Division Public Affairs Office. The 4th Infantry Division is currently at Fort Carson, Colorado. I had explained that we were going to celebrate a 100th birthday, and I had asked if the commanding general would be willing to write a letter on behalf of Mr. Tantillo, and I have the letter here, sir. And it's addressed to Mr. Tony Tantillo, care of me, at Auburn University. I wanted to give it to you so you can open it up and we'll read it. We'll see what the general said. Not bad. I'll help you here. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll read it. Okay. All right. So this is on the general stationery. We'll get this framed here. Dear Mr. Tantillo, and he scratches it off, sir. Happy 100th birthday. It's remarkable that you and the mighty Ivy Division are the same age. The Ivy team sends our best wishes for your birthday and joins your family and friends in wishing you a wonderful celebration. Thank you for everything you and your comrades from Alpha Company, 22nd Infantry Regiment did for our nation on June 6, 1944. I couldn't be prouder to command this storied division because of the lineage of service and sacrifice that you and all of the Ivy men over the past 100 years have dedicated to our nation. Thank you for your service and your dedication to your family and your community. God bless you. Signed, Randy A. George, Major General, U.S. Army, Commanding.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And it's a wonderful Pauli's story about Mom and Dad being just right here in North Augusta. The 22nd Infantry wouldn't have known Dad was still kicking and dessert and so forth. So, Paul Harris, God bless you. God bless you, Harris.
Well, General, what's in it? He says, I tell you something. He says, where you from? I says, Jackson, I said, oh, that's good. I'm going to come over and see you. He says, let me tell you about a German soldier. It's very good when they did.
That was a long time.
That was politically correct back then.
That wasn't in the script, guys.
Well, that's it's glad to be here. And with such a close friends, I get much meeting. Such a good prayers to help us out.
All right, where's Mary?
She's collecting $2 bills at the bank.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just a recent entry right here to the United States Congress. Mr. Anthony Tantillo, 208 East Pine Grove, North Augusta, South Carolina, 29841. Dear Mr. Tantillo, on behalf of the 3rd Congressional District of North Carolina, I am writing to congratulate you on your recent 100th birthday. Among the many extraordinary accomplishments over the long years of your life, I noted your distinguished service during the Second World War as a member of the 4th Division of 22nd Infantry. You and your fellow infantrymen were assigned an enviable task of storming the beaches of Normandy on that morning of June 6, 1944, in France. The horrific activities of that day and the ensuing battles of Europe changed the betterment for the course of human history. As a nation, we should remain diligent in honor of those who engaged in the selfless and critical service. As you gather with your family and loved ones to celebrate this milestone birthday, please know that your service to the nation has not been forgotten. As a member of the Congressional Committee responsible for ensuring the strength and effectiveness of the U.S. military, I and my comrades are grateful to the individuals such as you who have fought to preserve the liberties so integral to the life here in America. Congratulations, and may God continue to bless you and your beloved family. Sincerely, Walter B. Jones, Member of Congress. I'm gonna run out of things to frame here, you know, because I got a wall.
Uncle Tony, hey, you helped raise us, but I want to ask you something. What was more difficult, storming Normandy or raising your family?
That's an argument. I think we know the answer to that. I think we know the answer to that.